Hey everyone, welcome back to Plugin Tut, your home for handcrafted WordPress plugin tutorials, and the day is upon us. WordPress 5.3 is here, which brings a whole bunch of new things with Gutenberg and some core updates, but more importantly, it brings us the 2020 theme, a theme that I've really been looking forward to ever since I used the Chaplin theme by Anders Noren, who has led the design of this new 2020 theme. And I did a preview video of it. I'll link it in the description below if you want to go back and maybe see how things have changed or not have changed since I released that video. And we're going to just talk about it today. We're going to take it kind of slow. I'm going to go through all of the options of 2020 anyway. That way you can see everything that's available. I am recording this the night before that WordPress actually officially releases 5.3 along with 2020, but I've been following along the GitHub repo and the track channel, sort of just watching all of the issues being closed. I have come across one unique thing, which I don't know if they're just going to fix this later on, or maybe I'm just looking at the feature differently, and it has to do with post and page templates, but we'll dive into that as the video progresses here. This is the new screen that you're going to see as soon as your WordPress sites update to 5.3 or you install WordPress for the very first time. You're going to see this new landing page that just gives you this brief overview. 5.3 expands and refines the block editor introduced in WordPress 5.0 with a new block, more intuitive interactions and improved accessibility. New features in the editor increase the design freedoms, provide additional layout options and style variations to allow designers complete control over the look of a site. Where I agree and I disagree with that. I actually think that, the TLDR of this video is I think Chaplin is still a more feature-rich theme, and I would imagine that those features are going to come into the 2020 theme as time goes on. So there was a slight disappointment from me anyway in the 2020 theme, though I know it was a super fast timetable to get this theme built into or bolted onto WordPress 5.3. I do look forward to the future. I was really looking at this theme as something that would compete against an Astra theme or a Generate Press, some kind of framework theme, if you will, or just blank canvas theme that you could really do anything with, and it's still not the case, primarily because full width template isn't working properly. But let's just keep diving in here. Block editor improvements, we kind of knew that was coming. Expanded design flexibility. WordPress 5.3 adds even more robust tools for creating amazing designs. The new group block lets you easily divide your page into colorful sections. The column block now supports fixed column widths. New predefined layouts make it a cinch to arrange content into advanced designs. Heading block now offers control for text color. Additional style options allow you to set your preferred style for any block that supports this feature. So that's pretty cool. Introducing the 2020 theme, that's what we're going to talk about today, and sort of just looking at how some of these features are put together, which is pretty exciting. And then improvements for everyone: automatic image rotation, site health checks, and admin email verification. I'm not going to go into all of that stuff, but just giving you this general overview. One thing I don't know if I've ever really noticed before in other update splash pages, well, of course, let's not pass the credits. Let's take a look at the credits. I'll just scroll quickly here, obviously not read everyone, so you can kind of see who the lead and core contributors were. The freedoms page, I don't know if I've ever really noticed this before. Maybe it was just the way it was presented in previous updates. The first freedom to run the program for any purpose. The second freedom to study how the program works and change it to make it do what you wish. The third freedom to redistribute, and the fourth freedom to distribute copies of your modified versions to others. Talking about the GPL, talking about WordPress. I thought that was kind of interesting to be put in here with so much drama, I guess, around ownership and governance and who owns the brand, who owns WordPress, what can we really do with it if we're not happy with the momentum or lack thereof of the project. And then privacy, which leads me to one other side note here. I went to the privacy link and I actually downloaded my data, which I never really did before. Again, just really diving into this splash page for whatever reason, I clicked on the privacy link. It brought me to the privacy legalese, and I clicked on an export to export my data. It was pretty interesting of all of the data that they hold, WordPress.org, that is, of all my interactions with WordPress.org. So all of my comment posts, topics created, all the way down to which browser I was using and IP address I was using at the time. And this goes back all the way to my inception of at least one of my accounts, my master account, which was created like 11 years ago on WordPress.org, or more than that, I forget. But they have everything in there, from every WordCamp that I've posted on, every speaker page that I've been on for a WordCamp, and then it even had future WordCamps that haven't even been held yet. So it just gave me this big data dump of potential data, I guess, for even the future. So interesting there if that's something that you want to dive into. It's not something I've ever really looked at, up until now. Let's take a look at the theme. I believe I have it installed and activated. I do. Let's just go to the homepage. And I want to break down a couple things that I find interesting. So the first thing that I find really interesting is the attention to detail. And this is just a small little design language nuance that I want to bring up. But is this edit button and the style of this edit button. And I know Anders Noren is pretty detail oriented. That's why I like a lot of his themes. But I just find that interesting as a step forward when we start to think about the new site builder portion of Gutenberg, which we haven't really gotten to yet, which is called areas, I believe. So we'll have blocks and areas. Having these groundwork elements where the front end experience is starting to be something again, right? Where it used to be with the customizer, but it was a little bit jarring. And now it's going to have this more fluid motion where we'll be able to click on these edit areas and edit these areas. I'm assuming that's the name that they're going to stick with and put blocks into. So it's nice to see not just like this. I don't know, sometimes you look at a theme and it's just like this raw edit link. It just doesn't match the style or the design language of the rest of the theme. So that's kind of nice right there. This theme is great for a blogger. I still am not sold on it as like a product or a service business page, even a portfolio page like Chaplin is. I think Chaplin has a lot of elements that really, lend itself to, creating a portfolio page, creating a small business page with a certain design aesthetic that, the brand might have to be tailored to. But I think it's a pretty good fit for a lot of businesses. And I don't feel that 2020 is there just yet. And from the simple fact that it ships with this this light tan background, I guess is my designer eye would say, it's just not, when I think of a starter theme, heck, I even think of WooCommerce's starter template as something that's just a blank white canvas and, here's the framework, go nuts and build on it. Whereas this is still much more, hey, I'm here for a publisher. I'm here for a blogger, which isn't a bad thing considering where WordPress stands. But, this doesn't really instill like blank canvas, go nuts, Mr. or Mrs. business owner or service provider when they install WordPress for the first time. Let's dive into the customizer. Okay, so we're going to go through line by line all the customizer options for the 2020 theme. So we're going to start with the site identity. And just like everything else, site title, site tagline, what does it look like when I drop in a logo? We're going to add a logo in here. And let's adjust this. You can see right there with my logo, it places it right to the left of the site tagline. If I look at it on mobile, or on tablet size, it goes right into the center. And then mobile, pretty much the same thing. It just drops the site tagline. The one thing we can't do is remove the site tagline with an option. I'm assuming that's going to come in the future. So for now, if you wanted to remove the site tagline, you'd have to get rid of it by just simply removing the tagline there. And if you're worried about SEO, I believe you can add your tagline in with other SEO plugins like a Yoast or an SEO Press. So that's site identity. Colors, this is the default colors. Like I said, it comes with a sort of this beige, light tannish color. You could go straight white and really just make it that white presence that you wanted to. But these little steps are just, when people see it for the first time who don't even know that they can go press these buttons and make this magic happen, you automatically, like judging a book by its cover, change the perception of what somebody can do with a theme like this. But, people in the know that you can do this. And we can play with the background colors. That is pretty awful when it matches up with my theme or my logo. But we're going to just hit the default on that. So those are the two colors, background color, header and footer background colors. If you wanted to go all white, you could do that. Theme options. The options in here are either show a summary of text for the archive page or for blog pages or full text. This podcast guide post is about 12,000, or in this website, it's 10,000 words long. In the full version, it's 12,000. If I were to expand that, that would be insane. So summary for most of us is the natural fit here. I'd like to see something where we can actually configure the amount of text that we see there. And this is kind of interesting, the show search in the header. So if you don't want that, you just uncheck it. And I like it. It's a nice touch. Puts the search bar right in the header, and it has this nice big overlay search box. I don't know. Again, design terms are beyond me, but this is something that Anders Noren does in a lot of his themes, where the entire search comes down, which from a user experience is pretty great, because sometimes you can hit these search buttons and you just don't know where the search box went, or it's so small, and if there's a lot of stuff going on a page, you kind of lose it. So I like that effect for sure. Let's go into the cover template. Now, this is very similar to what he does in Chaplin, and I have my other podcast up on the page. This is my local podcast, and these cover images are what you see in this background. So in Chaplin, it puts it in the very full width cover section of this post, where the post headline and the metadata about that post show right below that, and then I have this color overlay on top of it. That's very similar to what we're going to be doing here in 2020, where you have the same option. So you have fixed background image, yes or no, or on or off in this case, and overlay background color. What is that overlay background color that we're going to put on it? Like you saw with that red, I have the similar one here. What's the overlay text color? So is it going to be just a contrast with white, depending on what your color scheme is, and then what that opacity looks like. And we'll take a look at that in a moment. In fact, let's just take a look at it right now while we're here. I'm going to hit publish. I'm going to close this out. We're going to go into podcast guide. We're going to edit this post. We'll do cover template. And you can see it's going to pull in this featured image, which is right here on the right-hand side. It's going to pull in this podcast-ish image that I have, and then we'll view the post. You can see right there, that's what it looks like with the cover image. You've got that very bright red color with the white headline there. Okay, so let's go back to the home page. Not back into the editor. Let's go back to the home page. Go back into the customizer. So that's cover template, and that's going to be the same cover template across all cover templates that you have throughout using 2020. Background image, I really don't expect a lot of people to be using that these days, but you can, I guess. So you can put this background image, which will go in the confines of the content section, but you can actually stretch it out. I believe you can do fill screen, and that'll fill the entire screen. You can do image position, where you can kind of move it around a little bit. I don't know many people that still do that these days, but the option is there. All right, now we're going to take a look at the menus, and this is pretty interesting for this theme. There's a bunch of locations, which this part is very flexible. If anybody has ever dealt with the constraints of just having so many different menu systems that you want to display on desktop view and mobile view, and what about your social media icons, things like that. This theme does a pretty good job with that. Anders did a fantastic job with that. So first of all, let's just look at all of the locations. If I view all of the locations, these are all of the different menu areas I can put in. I can make a unique menu for each of these areas and place it in here. So I can place in a desktop horizontal menu. I can put in an expanded menu if I wanted to create this little expanded area and say, and just bring in other components or other pages of the site that you might not want in your primary display. That's a really nice touch. I like that a lot. A mobile menu if you just want a certain menu to show up in mobile. A footer menu. We'll select the primary as well. Scroll down to the bottom. You can see it right here. And this is a nice touch that I think a lot of themes are doing these days, but I'm glad to see it here anyway, is a specific social media menu. So you literally just go in and put in the links. I guess I can just edit my menu right here. And you can see all I have to do is type in my Twitter link, my Facebook, and my YouTube, name it accordingly, and it'll use the icons to match up those social media outlets. So no more, trying to find another plugin with a widget area, that kind of thing. It's just built into a menu. It's super nice, super easy to work with. If I want to reorder these things and just put my YouTube, I can't nest it, but if I want to put my YouTube first, I could do that, then Twitter, then Facebook. So just a really nice touch with the menus, but I really do like the fact that this expanded menu is really, really nice. Go back to the top. It's a very nice touch there. And of course, having one specifically for mobile, because then maybe sometimes you don't want to show all of your pages on mobile. You just want to have them do 2 or 3 actions, the visitors of the site. So that's a really great feature there. Let's go to the widget section. And primarily, it's just these footer sections. So we have this footer 1 and 2. Let me get rid of this text here so you can kind of see that. So you can see, I'll name this footer 1. Footer 2, this is text. And I'm going to try recent posts. And I have not tested this. Whoops, 53, no. I have not tested this. Okay, so I have a featured image on Podcast Guide, but it's not pulling it in here. So the one thing that I do like with the Chaplin theme is, if I get right at the bottom, the recent post blog, it's actually styled to pull in the thumbnails of the posts, and it just has a nice style to it with Chaplin. And again, we sort of see that missing here. It's decent because you have the links and it's prominent. It's not like this really far off, just jarring plain text. But it would be great to have. Let me see, post date. Yeah, so it does put the post date below it, just not including the featured images there. So I'd like to see that sort of come into the theme as it matures a little bit. Homepage settings. This is by default the archive blog page, or blog view, I should say, and then a static page, and then we can select any kind of page. I don't even know what's on that test page. So let's just leave it at test page for now, and I'll use that as a framework to build off of. And then additional CSS. This is more of a core WordPress component that we've had for some time. So let's go ahead and dive into just looking at 2020 in the back end using Gutenberg, pages, posts, that kind of thing. All right, so with Gutenberg now much more prominent in version 5.3 of WordPress, you're going to have a lot more blocks, a lot more things to play with. I won't go through every single block because there's so many options once you start to look at the multiples of combinations that you can do. I would talk about some of the things that I've used in the Chaplin theme and some of the things that I think will work really well with this theme, but things I'd also like to see come about the future. Now, again, I can't preface this enough. I don't know if this is a bug right now or I am just totally missing the definition of the full width template with this theme, but here's the default template. I'm going to hit update and then preview. I have this featured image here, and this is what a basic page is going to look like. Big page title at the top, featured image right below that, and then your content. If I switch it to the cover template, update, preview that, you can see our big striking cover image, or our featured image is now our cover image with the big striking red, with, of course, the white contrast text. There's a little cool arrow button right there, is a nice touch. But full width template, update, preview, is the same thing. And I don't know if this is going to change overnight. Like I said, I was trying to get this done ahead of time for the launch day tomorrow, so things might change. If I were to take a look at full width content with the Chaplin theme, let's take a look. Dashboard, pages, all pages. Whoops, not pages. Posts. Edit. So this is my really long how to start a podcast post. Let's see. if I preview this, this should be full width. No, it's just regular width. So let's set the template to full. Okay, so let's just take a look at this. So this is a great example right here. I'm going to zoom in. Can I zoom in with my? No, I can't do it here. I have to do it in post edit. So look at all of the template options I have in Chaplin. This is really what makes it powerful and allows somebody to have unique look and feel across this site for different types of content. So I have my default template. I have the cover template. I have the full width with a cover template, right? So if I want full width, readability, and I still want to retain my cover template, I can do that. I can do full width and content template. Full width template, right? With still the featured image goes below it, not in the cover. And then only content template, which means it strips everything except for just the content on the page. So if you wanted to make like a landing page or something like that, that's a perfect pairing for that. But let's just do full width and only content and then preview that on the Chaplin theme. Actually, this is full width and only content, so this takes away absolutely everything else on the page. So this is for like this kind of book thing that I'm writing here for this podcasting post, and full width takes up the entire width of my content, right? So it's not sort of confined into that nice readability space. It takes up the entire page for so you can get the most out of your real estate. So I'd really like to see that work in 2020. And again, that might actually happen overnight after I record this. But just know at the time that I'm recording this, that full width does not work. So what can we do with these pages? Well, Gutenberg now has a lot of new blocks, but one of the most interesting ones is the group block. So if we go to group, we can now create these sections of content, right? And that's sort of what they, promoted in that splash page. So if I drop in a group, I can switch this to wide width or full width. So wide width is sort of full width, and then full width is full width. So let's just take a look at wide width first, and let's just throw a background color on it, and we're just going to put in a paragraph. So we're just going to say hello world. We're going to preview that. Okay, so if this were my home page, I'd have, this featured image here, and I'd have hello world, right? Great. That's awesome, Matt. What else can we do? Well, we can see there's some we can see some usability issues right here in this beta version of WordPress that I cannot see any of these buttons in the UI with the contrasting of the colors. Let's go ahead and remove that block. Let's select this block and actually remove the background color. I don't want any background color. But where this starts to make sense is when you start to make this a full width section and you do things like this. You do latest post. So this is latest post widget. And if I go here, I can switch the layout of that, and I can switch the width of that within this block. So I can do full width. And on the right-hand side, I could say post content, excerpt, display post title, and then I have some of these options here of, order by, category, number of items, so on and so forth. The one thing it's not doing, and again, I double checked, all of these posts have featured images. It doesn't pull in the featured image. That sort of drives me crazy. Again, these are the things that might mature over time, and these are the things that must mature over time if WordPress.org wants 2020 to be a base theme to build many types of sites with just the core components, without going and getting other plugins and other blocks. If they want to use the most bang for your buck between blocks and what it has to offer, it really has to make some of these adjustments. But let's go ahead and hit preview. And you can see here, these are my latest posts across full width, across the entire width of this page. So you can start to mix and match these types of things. So you might say something like, I actually don't like the way that looks, so I'll go wide width. And that's fine within that group. Let's go ahead and drop in another block above it. And we might do something like another cover. Or actually, you know what we'll do? We will do a background image on this. Clear. Actually, remove that block. Let's put another cover in. Media library. That was interesting. I don't think I could get back to the media library after I put that in and set a color. These are our latest posts. And this is cool because I can, with this cover, I can kind of pick the focal point. That's really awesome. I like that. Fixed background. Actually, no, I don't want fixed background. I want focal point. Minimum height in pixels is cool, so I can do 500. Do I want to overlay color? Let's just see what happens. That's pretty cool. Change that opacity. We're not going to play with the crop settings. Update. Preview. And you can see I can start to play with building out a home page, and it is almost page builder-esque, but not really. You might have noticed that formatting issue, so things aren't 100% yet with that layout, at least maybe not if I stack a cover image above it for whatever reason. Let's preview that again. All right, so that kind of put it in the center. So these are our latest posts. I put my post right here, and you can kind of think about it like, all right, I can see the wheels turning where we can start to build a page or a unique home page with it. If you use something like a CoBlocks, which is a GoDaddy inspired Gutenberg block, you can use their heroes, and this is my hero. This is my supporting hero, and these are the buttons. So let's say call to action 1, call to action 2, update, and we'll actually bring this to the top just for the heck of it. We'll get rid of this. Update. Preview. So this is the hero. These are my call to actions. This is this cover section in here. I started to put these blog posts in. And this is obviously very crude. This is a layout that you really have to work with. But again, I keep comparing this to Chaplin because it's still by far my favorite theme. And I think that what we need to see happen is either more support for building unique pages with working templates in 2020, or they're just going to continue to support things like CoBlocks, which is still fine, and I think you can already see that it does support it pretty well. I think they do a really good job, at least Anders and team at CoBlocks, to keep things in synergy, and maybe they'll do the same with 2020. They'll keep improving those that block support, but I still think that 2020 as a core theme to build anything, it still has some room to grow. So a slight disappointment there. I really love the design of it, but it doesn't give me everything that Chaplin has, and that's still my favorite pure Gutenberg theme thus far. And it's pretty interesting there. So you can kind of see that for writers, editors, this would be a great theme, you know, for those of you that want to get started with a fresh start for a blog. But definitely look to Chaplin if you want something more full-fledged. All right, so that was 2020 in a nutshell, in about a 25-minute nutshell, kind of covering the ins and outs of it, and just scratching the surface on creating a page or a post with 2020. Maybe I'll do some more videos as they mature the theme to kind of just round off all of the edges. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention some of the design language that's now spilling into core components of WordPress. And I noticed right away, as soon as I use the beta plugin for WordPress to get the most up-to-date version before it actually goes live, is the design language, the subtle design language of certain elements on the page. So if I just swap in between an older version of WordPress and the WordPress version that's out today, you can notice the slight hint of changes around the UI elements, around sort of the outlines of the boxes, but most notably the buttons. So if I zoom in here, this is very much a .com-y, Jetpack-y, Gutenberg-y button, you know, whatever that flat style is that they're working with, versus the older buttons, which have a little bit of depth to them, a little bit of drop shadow. So you can kind of see the slight differences there. It's even more noticeable if you go to the all post pages. And this is where I really kind of noticed it. As subtle as it is, it's a pretty big visual difference. Like the outlines of the buttons or the outlines of the drop downs. And what I feel is like some of the weight of the font there. I can't really confirm that without inspecting. Maybe not, but definitely the buttons. So you can see the bulk actions, the apply buttons are all sort of more of that modernish, Gutenbergish, Jetpackish, WordPress.com-ish design language. So they're really starting to tighten up that entire experience so that you know that you're in a WordPress product, right? You're in this automatic Jetpack WordPress product that is still WordPress.org, but certainly the design languages, you don't get lost when you switch in between the two of them. So quite interesting note right there. I know it's been happening for a while, especially inside Gutenberg. The buttons and styling has already started to change, but really starting to see it more prominent now in the admin pages of the new version of WordPress, which dropped today. Longest video I think I've ever done. Maybe not. Pretty long. Really hope you stuck through it. Really hope you learned something with version 5.3 of WordPress with 2020. Leave your comments and questions below. As they mature WordPress, the 2020 default theme, I will do more videos on that, and hopefully that full width template bug sort of goes away. I don't know if I'm crazy, if I'm just kind of thinking full width means something else, but it certainly doesn't in the realm of the Chaplin theme. It literally makes it full width. So really hope that gets fixed and I can do an updated video. Thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you want more. Share it with friends and family, everybody that uses WordPress. Really appreciate everybody. Hoping 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I don't know. We'll see. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.